The world can feel loud when you're young, but a different silence arrives when we age. A quiet house, a phone that rings less. We spend our lives relying on others for our joy, but there is a way to build a foundation so strong, nothing can shake it. Please, stay with me on this journey. The final way we will explore. It has the power to bring all the others into focus and grant true peace. Inner stillness. So, we come to a stage in our lives where the external world, the one filled with obligations, with children, with the noise of a career, it begins to quiet down. This can be a very frightening experience. It is like being in a vast, noisy hall your entire life, and then suddenly, one by one, the people leave, the music stops, and you are left alone in the silence. For many, this silence is not peaceful, it is deafening. It is in this quiet that all the unanswered questions, all the anxieties we have successfully distracted ourselves from, come to the surface. And so we seek noise again. We turn on the television, we call someone, not for connection, but to simply fill the space. We feel a deep sense of loneliness, a void where we feel something is missing. But we must ask ourselves, what if this silence is not an emptiness, but an invitation? What if it is an opportunity? Throughout our active years, we rarely have the chance to become acquainted with ourselves. We know ourselves as a parent, as a spouse, as an employee, as a friend. We know all the roles we play, but who is the one playing the roles? This silence is a chance to finally meet that person, the one who has been there all along, beneath the surface of all our activities. The journey from loneliness to what is called solitude is the first, most crucial step. Loneliness is the pain of being alone. Solitude is the joy and the richness of being alone. They use the same silence but have a completely different meaning. This transformation does not happen by accident. It requires a gentle, conscious turning of our attention inward. Instead of always looking outside for validation, for comfort, for entertainment, we can begin to cultivate an inner landscape. Think of your mind as a garden. For years, you may have been too busy to tend to it. Now you have the time. You can begin to pull the weeds of anxious thoughts. You can plant the seeds of peace, of gratitude. You can simply sit in the garden of your mind and observe it without judgment. This is the practice. It is not about forcing anything to happen, but about creating the conditions where peace can naturally arise. It is about becoming your own best companion. A simple way to begin this is with your own breath. The breath is always with us. It is the most reliable thing in our lives. From our very first moment to our very last, it is there. By simply paying attention to the feeling of the breath entering your body and leaving your body, you are anchoring yourself in the present moment. In that moment, you are not lost in thoughts about the past or worries about the future. You are just here. You are present. And in this presence, there is a deep stillness. This stillness is not empty, it is full. It is filled with a sense of being. You start to realize that you do not need anything from the outside world to feel whole. When you can sit comfortably in your own silence, a remarkable thing happens. Your relationships with your family change. You no longer need them to fill a void in you. You do not place upon them the heavy burden of being responsible for your happiness. You can interact with them from a place of fullness, not of neediness. You can give them your love freely without expecting anything in return because your own wellspring of peace is full. You become a source of tranquility for them rather than a source of obligation. Finding this inner stillness is not about pushing your family away. It is the single greatest act of love you can offer them, and more importantly, a profound gift of homecoming for yourself. It is the solid ground upon which all else can be built. Disciplined practice. When the structure of a long career dissolves, or when the daily tasks of raising a family are complete, we are often left in a state of formlessness. Our days, which were once shaped by external demands, now stretch before us, empty and without definition. This lack of structure can feel like a loss of identity, a loss of purpose. We may find ourselves drifting, unsure of what to do with this new freedom. The freedom that was once so desired can become a source of deep unease. We are accustomed to a rhythm, a cadence to our lives, and when that rhythm fades, we can feel lost. It is here that we discover the immense power of a self-imposed structure, a disciplined practice that we choose for ourselves. This does not mean you must adopt a harsh or rigid regimen. It is not about forcing yourself to do things you dislike. The spirit of this practice is gentle. It is about creating small, beautiful rituals that anchor your day. It could be as simple as the way you prepare your morning tea. Not rushing, but being fully present with each step. The boiling water, the fragrant leaves, the warmth of the cup in your hands. This small 5-minute ritual can become a profound meditation. It is an anchor of mindfulness that sets the tone for the entire day. It is a statement to yourself that your time is sacred, that your attention is valuable. This daily practice becomes a central pillar of your well-being. It is something that belongs entirely to you. It is not dependent on anyone else's schedule or mood. It is your time to connect with your inner self. When you have this anchor in your day, you are less likely to be thrown off balance by external events. If a friend cancels a visit, or if the day feels particularly long and empty, you have your practice to return to. It is a reliable source of stability and meaning. It is you taking your own well-being into your own hands. You are no longer waiting for the day to bring you purpose. You are infusing your day with purpose from within. Over time, these small, consistent actions build a tremendous sense of inner strength and self-reliance. It is like the ancient proverb of a drop of water. One drop is insignificant, but drop after drop, falling in the same place, can eventually wear away stone. In the same way, each day that you honor your chosen practice, you are building a reservoir of inner peace and resilience. You are gently shaping your own life, giving it form and beauty, not from external pressure, but from an internal loving commitment. This structured discipline, born of freedom, transforms empty time into a meaningful journey of self-cultivation. It becomes the vessel that holds your peace. There is a danger in aging that we often overlook. It is not a physical ailment, but a stagnation of the spirit. It is the feeling that we have seen it all, that we have learned all we need to learn. It is a slow, quiet closing of the mind. When we were young, the world was a place of constant discovery. Everything was new. As we get older and our experiences accumulate, we can fall into the trap of believing that there is nothing left to surprise us. This is a very subtle kind of sadness, a gradual fading of the vibrant colors of life into shades of gray. Our mind, if not exercised, can become a room with only a few windows, looking out onto the same familiar view, day after day. Imagine the joy of learning to identify the birds that visit your garden. It is a small thing, but it changes the way you experience your surroundings. Suddenly, a simple chirp is no longer just a sound, it is a communication you are beginning to understand. Or what about learning a few phrases of a new language? Not to travel, but simply to feel the structure of a different way of thinking in your mind. The mind is a muscle. When we learn something new, we create new neural pathways. We are, in a very real sense, keeping our minds alive and flexible. We are resisting the pull of mental rigidity. This cultivated curiosity provides a boundless source of inner richness. It gives you something to think about, something to look forward to, that is entirely your own. Perhaps you decide to learn a simple instrument, not to perform for others, but for the simple pleasure of creating a melody in a quiet room. Or you begin to read about a period of history you know nothing about. You borrow books from the library and travel through time in your own armchair. These activities connect you to the vastness of the human experience. They remind you that your individual life, however quiet it may seem, is part of a grand, unfolding story full of wonder and discovery. Relying on this inner spring of curiosity frees you from a dependence on others for stimulation. Your happiness is no longer contingent on having someone to talk to or something to do with another person. You have a universe of interest to explore right within your own being. This makes you a more interesting person to be around, but more importantly, it makes you a more interesting companion for yourself. When the mind is active, engaged, and full of wonder, loneliness has very little space to take root. You are too busy discovering the world, both inside and out. Cultivating curiosity is like ensuring there is always light and always a fresh breeze flowing through the temple of your mind. Gentle acceptance. One of the greatest sources of suffering, not just in our later years, but throughout our entire lives, is the gap between our expectations and reality. We have an image in our mind of how things should be. We expect our bodies to remain strong and free of pain. We expect our minds to stay sharp, and we place enormous expectations upon our families. We expect our children to call a certain number of times, to visit, to need us in the same ways they once did. We expect our relationships to remain unchanged by the powerful currents of time. And when reality does not match these expectations, we feel disappointed, hurt, and often a deep sense of resentment. This is where the practice of gentle acceptance becomes a lifeline. It is not a practice of resignation or giving up. It is not about pretending that you do not feel pain or loss. Acceptance is a profoundly courageous act of seeing things exactly as they are, without the filter of our desires. It is acknowledging that life is a process of constant change. Nothing remains the same. Our bodies will change, our health will fluctuate, and our family dynamics will evolve. Our children grow, create their own families, and have their own burdens and struggles. Their world no longer revolves around us, and that is not a betrayal. It is the natural order of life. The key to this practice is to distinguish between love and attachment. Love is an open-handed wish for the well-being of another. We love our family, and we want them to be happy. Attachment is a clenched fist. It is when we say, "I love you, and therefore you must behave in a way that makes me happy." Attachment is what causes our suffering. When we can slowly, gently begin to open that fist, we liberate not only ourselves, but also the ones we love. We free them from the immense burden of being responsible for our emotional state. We allow them to live their lives without guilt, and in turn, we free ourselves from the poison of resentment that comes from unmet expectations. This gentle acceptance also applies to ourselves. We must learn to be kind to the person we see in the mirror. We must accept the new physical limitations not as a failure, but as a new set of circumstances to be navigated with wisdom. Instead of mourning the things we can no longer do, we can practice gratitude for the things we still can. Can you still enjoy the warmth of the sun? Can you still taste a delicious meal? Can you still feel the love for your family in your heart, even if they are far away? Acceptance shifts our focus from what is lost to what remains. And what remains is always, always enough if we choose to see it. This practice is a daily one. A moment of frustration with a creaking joint can become a moment of acceptance. A day when the phone doesn't ring can be an opportunity to practice releasing expectation and instead turning inward to your own well of peace. By embracing gentle acceptance, we stop fighting against the river of life. We learn to flow with it. We discover a profound peace that is not dependent on circumstances being perfect. It is a peace that can coexist with pain, with change, and with loss. It is the deep, unshakable peace of a mountain that allows clouds and storms to pass over it, remaining always itself. Natural connection. And so we arrive at the final pillar, the one that can hold all the others in a beautiful, harmonious embrace. After we have cultivated our inner stillness, built a disciplined practice, opened our minds with curiosity, and learned the art of gentle acceptance, we may still feel a subtle sense of being unmoored. We have learned to rely on the self, but we are also relational beings. We need to feel connected to something larger than ourselves. Often, we place the entire weight of this need for connection onto other people, onto our family. This is a fragile way to live because people are transient. Instead, we can learn to place our reliance on a connection that is eternal, unconditional, and endlessly giving: the natural world. Think of a very old tree in a park. It has stood there for decades, perhaps centuries. It has seen seasons come and go. It has been a silent witness to generations of human lives. It asks for nothing, it simply is. By going and sitting near this tree, by truly looking at it, feeling its bark and noticing the way the wind moves through its leaves, you can begin to feel a deep and profound connection. This tree embodies a kind of stability that human relationships, by their very nature, cannot offer. It is always there. It is a reliable presence. Leaning on nature in this way is not an escape from humanity. It is a way of finding a deeper ground for our own existence. This connection does not require grand trips to national parks. It is available right outside your door. It is in the single flower pushing its way through a crack in the pavement, a testament to resilience. It is in the sky, which offers a different painting every single morning and every single evening. It is in the feeling of rain on your skin or the sound of the wind. By paying attention to these simple, elemental things, we tap into a rhythm that is much older and wiser than our own small anxieties. The cycles of nature, of growth, decay, and renewal teach us the art of acceptance in a way that words never can. The falling leaves of autumn do not resist their descent. They are part of a beautiful, necessary dance. This reliance on the natural world can heal the parts of us that feel lonely or forgotten. A sense of belonging arises that is not dependent on social invitation. You belong to this earth. You are a part of this vast, interconnected web of life. When you feel this connection in your heart, the need for constant validation from others diminishes. Nature does not judge you. It does not have expectations of you. It simply accepts you as you are in this very moment. It offers a sense of peace and perspective that can make our own human dramas seem very small. It is a source of awe and wonder that never runs dry. When we build this sacred relationship with the natural world, we find that our reliance shifts. We are no longer solely dependent on the shifting sands of human affection for our sense of stability and peace. We are held by something far greater. This doesn't mean we love our families any less. On the contrary, we love them more freely, more purely. Our connection with them becomes a beautiful dance, but our feet are planted firmly on the unshakable ground of our connection to all of life. This is the ultimate homecoming, to realize that your true family is the earth beneath your feet and the sky above your head, and in that knowing, you are never, ever truly alone. You come to see this stage of life not as an ending, but as a blossoming. You have weathered the storms of a busy life, and now you have the chance to cultivate the quiet, beautiful garden of your own being. It is a time for depth, for wisdom, and for a kind of happiness that does not shout, but hums quietly from the very core of you. This happiness, built on these pillars of self-reliance, is a fortress of peace. It is a gift you give to yourself, and its light shines out and touches everyone you love, not as a demand, but as a gentle, warming presence. For years, I thought my sadness came from my kids not calling enough. After listening to this, I realized my sadness came from my own expectations and my own inner silence, which I was scared of. I sat outside today and just watched the cloud move across the sky for 10 minutes. I cried, but for the first time, they felt like tears of release, not despair. Thank you for giving me a new way to see my life. I have work to do.